how hopeful are you that the Pope can find the wisdom, humility, and courage necessary to repeal the man-made celibacy law?
They must go back to look to what Jesus Christ himself, who calls the church itself, calls the priest after Christus, is another Christ. The priest is another Christ. If he is another Christ, he has to carry on the mission of Jesus Christ, to preach the gospel, cast out the devils, and heal the sick. And we need the priest to do that. And Jesus has put in front his apostles. And with this, he confirmed them through the coming of the Holy Spirit, gave them courage, fortitude, and perseverance. And as a matter of fact, all of them died for the faith which they had embraced from Jesus Christ. And if this is the nature of a priest, that he must be in the forefront in the fight, it is necessary that the church has to see to it that which prevents the priest to go with courage to face the world today, and for 1,000 years, has been this wound that comes from maintaining celibacy and without looking into the problems of the so many sins which have taken different forms, committed not only homosexual, not only lesbianism, or not only all the other that have come. There are a lot of other things which have come about, which at the same time we feel this cannot be continued because they contradict the vocation of the priest. The priest must be himself the leader of the flock and give good example, loving, and so on. And in that way, we are able to expect to realize the aims of celibacy. But the celibacy, as I've said earlier on, is just a little string that is attached to priesthood. And consequently, now it has consumed, so to say, it has consumed the only babies. That is the priest. And now the church is running short of priests. But today, the thousands and thousands of priests are wounded soldiers. And the church, therefore, has to find ways and means how to rebuild them, construct them. And the only way is to take away the key of the problem, which is celibacy.
Last month, in September of 2006, you received word that you had been excommunicated as a result of your ordination of 4 married priests to the office of bishop. What is the significance of that excommunication notice to you?
Look now, if I look at what excommunication historically has done, it is the responsibility of the Catholic Church itself that the last testament, the will of Jesus Christ in John 17, that there may be one, like you, Father, and I, we are one. That is, this unity is destroyed, has been destroyed historically by the introduction of this word excommunication. They excommunicated Luther. And it is said that Martin Luther, had no intention at all. I read it just recently in the history of the church. Luther had no intention at all to go out of the Catholic Church. He was just pointing out the abuses of indulgences. And he wrote very, very clearly, this doesn't go, this doesn't go, this doesn't go. And therefore, what he wanted, he said, can the church accept renewal? And he put publicly the thesis, 95 theses. He put them there, that they should be able to see. They could simply call him, here you are right, here we don't accept it. But this urge from within of power and authority to show its way, who have all the truth, that's all, they condemned him. And the result is, it has been very long, very difficult to include the Lutherans and call them separated brothers. But it's you yourself that had caused the problem. Whatever doctrinal difference there is, you are looking at it now. Of course. And you put yourself, you are the one to tell them, look now, we can accept you. You give the condition yourself to the Lutherans that we can accept you under this and that condition. And you don't want to. There's something with the Anglicans. Of course, the whole history, I know, Others, I don't want to mention the people that slowly, separated and did not want influence of the Roman Catholic and so on. They condemned the Anglicans, put them that, and so on. We don't talk about the others, Presbyterians, whoever they are, and all the rest. So the responsibility of the destruction of the will of Jesus Christ, that there may be one, like you, Father, and I are one, is the Catholic Church through the power and authority of excommunication, which they have never learned the lesson from there. They are still using today, that they are the ones who are destroying the unity. So the destruction of the unity of the church has come from this power and authority of excommunicating. Miringo, with the 4 bishops that he has consecrated, has no intention at all to separate oneself, from the Catholic Church. No, because it is a right that is a birthright which we have as Catholics. It's a birthright, so nobody can destroy it from inside. We are Catholics, whether you want to know. It's a birthright. I mean, you can't say the children which are born from you, and one day you say you refuse them. They are not your children, when they are carrying your blood in you.
What has been the response so far to married priests now?
Marvelous.
Tell us about it.
Just beautiful. Look now, we have received some condemnation, particularly those who are living under the shadow of the Vatican from Italy. Oh, some of them have already called me, oh, devil, reflect, and so on. And of course, I received a letter telling me that I'm proud and that I must be humble and so on, and that I must remember that before long I'm going to be judged, and I must remember at the time of death that is going to be looked into seriously. Because, I've scandalized this one, I've scandalized those, I've scandalized that, and so on. But look now, this is scandalous pusillanimous, because they have to wait and see, what is it that I myself am doing? I myself, as an individual, cannot at all tolerate the things which are happening in the priests and among the priests today. One country has said that because they made a vow of chastity, not to meet women, but they can marry between themselves, man and man. So even within the priesthood, there are pairs of the homosexuals. And they're arguing like that. Yes, they say, because, myself, I promised that I'm not going to touch a woman, but at least I can marry my fellow man, and so on. So that, can the Catholic Church as a mother be indifferent to that? What Miringo is saying are facts. I'm not just saying this because I want, to look down upon the Catholic Church. No, I'm saying enough is enough. The take away the cause of all this is celibacy, and so on. Give it up, make it optional. Those who will choose it less, they will have it, but not to impose. Because this is grave. I am putting myself in the shoes of Jesus, who was called a priest after Christus, another Christ. And if they are other Christ, he expects them to have a certain standard. And we believe ourselves to reinstate them does not mean just to say, come in. We are going to say, remember, your life has been this, and for what you have suffered now, compensate during this time to lead a life worthy of a priest. And St. Paul is analyzing what a priest ought to be, just as much as what a bishop ought to be, and so on. We are the letters of St. Paul to Timothy. We're able to get that. Saint Polycarp of Smyrna, who was the disciple, so say, of St. Ignatius of Antioch. Dear Lord, when he speaks of a priest, it's so beautiful, so beautiful. You don't have all this nonsense that we have within the church. People who display outside as priests, but at the same time, they're leading double life. No, what you call Polycarp, saying it very, very clearly. And he presents it in a wonderful way, what a priest is. Following as well what is said to Timothy and everything. So we've got a standard that a priest ought to be. When we are speaking of married priests, we're not going to reduce priesthood again to a lower grade. No, we're going to uplift it as much as we can.